Happy Tuesday. All right, we are on Facebook. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. It's the last week of April. I'm really excited to be here with you. These last 4 weeks, I've been doing this for 4 weeks now, which is crazy, has been really wonderful. And I just want to thank those of you who have been working through these journaling prompts with me, because this time spent with you guys on Facebook and Instagram has really held me accountable to doing the work as well, journaling and doing some introspection. So this is going to be the last Tuesday guided journaling, this like live guided journaling together. We're going to do a reflection on the last month of April, since we have all been now in isolation for at least the whole month. So I think that it was like the last week of March that the final states or places that were going into kind of lockdown mode, that's when they did. So we're going to reflect on this time that we have all been at home for most of us, even if we are working, spending our spare time not at work at home. So we're going to kind of reflect on that, and then I'm going to share something that I've been working on for those of you who have enjoyed this and potentially want to continue this type of work together. So we will get started with our prompt in like another minute. So at 1:03. So feel free to grab your journal, get some water, grab your tea, whatever. And I just am happy that the sun is shining today. I went for a nice walk this morning. And also I want you to know that a lot of these prompts that we've been working through together, we've, none of them are really original. A lot of them have been adapted from things that I have learned from other people, and then just kind of tuning them in a way that makes sense for this platform. Hey, Molly. Thank you so much for making masks. My college roommate, Molly, is making masks and tuning in on Facebook. So, all right, we're about to get started, so feel free to get settled. But as I was saying, a lot of these journaling prompts, they're really taken from different, resources and then adapted for this. So don't think that by any means I am an expert. I'm working through all of this with you. I just know that sometimes when we're starting this kind of introspection or self-care work, it can be really overwhelming to find a place to start. So my hope is by just kind of introducing prompts and topics, it inspires you to find your own practice. All right, so let's get started for this week's journaling. We're going to be doing, I'm just calling it like an April reflection. Again, this is really, we've all been in this social distancing isolation now for at least a full month. Most of us, last week of March is really when we locked down. So I just want to take a moment. There's been a lot of conversation on opening things back up, and that can stir a lot of feelings and emotions and worries and excitement. All of these things can kind of be awakened in this idea of returning to normal. So I just want to start this off with somewhat of like a visualization or a meditation, if you will. Really imagining your ideal perfect week of everything being open again. So really, like, go all out here. There are no rules. You don't have to worry about anything. You just imagine your perfect week. What would you do in a perfect week? I'm going to say a week, not even a day, because you might want to do a lot of things. What would you do if everything was just completely opened back up? You didn't have to worry about the virus. You didn't have to worry about anything like that. I just want you to take a moment and imagine all of the things that you would do. Maybe you would visit your grandparents. Maybe you would travel. Maybe you just go back to work and catch up with the people that you love to spend your days with. So just take a moment. You don't really have to write it down. Just really explore in this moment what you would love to do in your ideal perfect week of everything being open again. What would it look like? And more importantly, what does that feel like for you? So tapping in, tuning into maybe a feeling of freedom, maybe a feeling of adventure, maybe a feeling of coming back to yourself, or maybe a feeling of kind of being overwhelmed. Just noting those. And as with all of these journaling prompts, it might serve you to kind of jot down a few things and revisit it after we chat about them, if you're tuning in live, or if you're watching after we're live, maybe pausing it and then, you know, doing the question or whatever, and then starting it again. Because I'm moving a little bit quickly, I guess. So yeah, so just imagining what that would look like, and more importantly, what that feels like of everything being open. You can go wherever you want, do whatever you please. Everyone is healthy and safe. And now I really want us, there was a quote by an author, Dave Hollis, and it really struck me, and I read it weeks and weeks ago. But he said, "In the rush to return to normal, consider which parts of normal are worth rushing back to." So we all have this notion of like, we want things to go back to normal, to return to normal. But the thing is that we're never going to go back to what things were before this pandemic. We can never really go backwards. We can only go forwards. We can only take what we've learned, what we've experienced individually and as a whole, and then there is no returning to normal. There is no reopening. In a way, it's like a new season. You don't return to spring. You don't return to summer. You arrive at spring 2020 or summer 2020. It's never the same as before because things have changed. So in this rush to open, in this rush to get back to or rediscover what our everyday life is with everything open, we need to really, like, this is just to take a moment to consider what do we actually want to bring into this present? What do we want to take from that past, take from, you know, before this whole global pandemic happened? And what do we want to bring with us? And what do we want to maybe leave behind? And so with that, I have 4 questions that, you know, you might kind of jot the questions down while we're live and then answer them later. Just jot a couple thoughts down and return to, or if you're tuning in later, you can always pause the video and, you know, unless you're on Instagram, I don't think you can pause it on Instagram, but you know what I mean. So the first one that I want you to consider and think about is, what are you looking forward to the most? And feel free, if something comes to your mind and you want to share it in the comments on Instagram or Facebook, I'd love to hear. What are you looking forward to the most when things open up? For me, I'm really looking forward to seeing my family. I have a 93-year-old Nana. I have, you know, a grandma who I haven't been able to see or really check in besides on like Facebook Messenger and calling. I have cousins and aunts and uncles and people that I have, you know, moved to this part of the country to be close to that I now am not able to see. So that's for me like top biggest. So I would love to hear what you are looking forward to the most. I'm also really looking forward to going over to my friends' houses, to having people over at my house. Yes, Molly said, seeing family and a vacation at the beach. Yes, 100%. I'm planning on going to New Hampshire in August for one of my best friends' wedding. I'm so excited for that. So just tuning into like maybe writing down 3 or 4 of those things and then really looking at it. Like I realized, go ahead and write them down before you consider this. So if you haven't written them down, coffee dates with girlfriends. Yes, coffee dates with girlfriends and cocktails with girlfriends. So go ahead and get like a couple things like coffee dates and vacations and seeing family. And then after you've written down like 3 or 4 things, really look at them and see if there's something in common. For me, all of mine had to do with family and friends. It was all, seeing family, seeing friends, and then traveling to see family and friends, or traveling to connect with my partner. For me, I'm like, wow, that's really what I'm missing. Happy hours and cocktails with your girlfriends and guy friends and couple friends, date nights, group dates. For me, it's that human connection with other people, which is something that I think we all took for granted. Sitting in an office space with other people, sitting next to people in a restaurant, meeting random people at a bar or a coffee shop and having a good conversation. And for me, it was just really interesting because when I was like, okay, I'm just going to list a few things of what I am looking forward to the most. And they were all human interaction and general human interaction. I don't really care where it comes from. So, taking that into this next chapter, this next season of things being open again is prioritizing those relationships, prioritizing seeing those people that I really wish I would have spent more time with before this happened. I think that a lot of us are going to see this pattern of, distance makes the heart grow fonder. So in this time of distance, what is your heart growing more fond of? More fond of? The second thing I want to consider is, what would you like to bring into this next season of life that you might have established in this time of isolation? So if we think about everything opening up, going back, sorry, my hair's going crazy right now. Everything opening up, things being more accessible, being able to go back to work in an office setting, being able to go traveling, being able to go out every night, go to restaurants, go whatever that might look like for you. I want you to consider what are some things though that during this time have nurtured you that you want to maybe incorporate when we go back into this community setting or this more public setting, more public time. For me, it's really, I've really managed my time in a way that my life has looked a lot slower. I take morning walks and I'm not really in a hurry. This morning I walked for 45 minutes and, I have things to do today. It's finals week. I'm in grad school. It's not like I'm living this life of, social distancing and isolation where I have no responsibilities. I'm still working. I'm still writing papers, taking finals, but I have been able to incorporate more of this presence or this time of slowing down. And I've had a better connection with myself because of that, because I'm not in a hurry. I can go for a morning walk and I can think about things, ponder things, listen to an audiobook. I can take a lunch break and sit outside and just kind of sit with myself. And at first it was really uncomfortable. The first few weeks of my time being home alone, because Tony's still working. So I'm home alone for 10 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And it was so uncomfortable at first because I had really gotten away from connecting with myself. I was constantly seeking distractions. I was on Facebook. I was on Instagram. I was trying to do this, trying to do that, checking emails every 5 seconds, constantly picking up my phone because for some reason I had just felt so uncomfortable with just being here in my body, in my surroundings. And, when we're kids, if you're my age or older and we had less technology, like no tablets, no laptops when I was 7, I sat with myself often. I played by myself. I went for walks by myself. I kicked the soccer ball outside by myself. And there's something really beautiful about having that relationship with yourself. And so for me, that's what I want to take into this next season from the current chapter is just slowing down and allowing myself to just be sometimes. Just really, intentionally carving out maybe some time in the morning, evening, afternoon, wherever makes sense for my schedule to just be with no agenda. So yeah, considering what you would like to take with you from this chapter into the next. The third thing that I want to ask and consider is really identify what you're worried about as things start to open and allow yourself to go there. Often we brush things off or we push it out of our minds because we don't want to think about getting sick. We don't want to think about going back to a job that we don't like. We don't want to think about a financial situation, that might be not great. And as we move into this next chapter, we're just worrying about where this is taking us. But I think when we actually take the time to give ourselves space and writing down, maybe let's write down 4 things at the most, 4 things. When we give ourselves parameters to worry, when we say, okay, right now I'm going to acknowledge my worry. These are the 4 things I'm worried about. I'm worried about money. I'm worried about getting sick. I'm worried about my family. I'm worried about childcare. Those might be your 4 worries. Allowing yourself to identify them. I think often we think that like identifying or labeling these negative feelings or the scary things or the worries, if we identify them, we give them power. By labeling them, we give them power. But I believe the opposite. I believe when we come at them and we say, you know what, these are my worries, then I have power over them. They are now words on a paper, and I can release them, let them go from my mind. I'm not having to hold them in here all the time, constantly trying to push them to the back of my mind. When they're on paper, I can leave them there. And they might be things that are reasonable worries. I might have to continue to consider them. But what I can do is I can open my laptop or my notebook and I can say, okay, I'm giving myself space right now to try to sift through this worry, to try to problem solve, to try to figure out whatever. And then when I close my notebook or when I close my laptop and I walk away, they stay there. And I can cook dinner and enjoy a meal with my family. I can have a phone call with my mom. I can go for a walk and they're not in my mind anymore because I left them on that paper. So, allow yourself to write down those worries, to label them. Mine, I'm worried about getting sick. I'm worried about falling into old habits. I'm worried about finances. I think that we all have this connection that we have right now between, we might be in this like physically isolated from each other, but these universal concerns for health and finances and, jobs, they actually connect us. We're not so alone in those. And then the last thing that I want us to consider is what can we do to prepare for things opening up? I don't know what that looks like for you as far as preparation. Maybe it's physical preparation. Maybe you know that you're going to go back to work, and so you cook a few extra meals and you stick them in the freezer because it's going to be really busy in your evenings now, and you're not going to be able to cook your meals the way that you have been. Maybe it's really sifting through those worries and identifying them and figuring out how you're going to prepare to face them when things open up. For me, it looks a lot like time management, really. I mean, I know I still have grad school. I'm still going to be working. And if I want to take those aspects of my life right now, like morning walks or just time to sit, time to read for pleasure, time to connect with my husband and not be in a hurry, then I need to prepare for that. I need to carve time out in my schedule. I need to sit down and figure out, okay, I'm going to give myself 30 minutes in the morning and we're going to do a date night once a week. That's preparation. And I know that it seems silly or it seems like, oh, I don't even need to write that down. But when you write it down, you allow yourself the space and the time and you prioritize that. Maybe preparation for you looks like getting your body back onto a normal clock. Maybe you've been staying up super late and then waking up super late because you can. As things open up, maybe for you, preparing looks like, okay, I'm going to start trying to go to bed at a reasonable hour and then waking up. So when I do have to return to work or I do have to go, be places in the morning, it's not so difficult. You can gradually do that to prepare. I think that, when we address everything, all of these mixed emotions of excitement and worry and all these things that are stirred in us when we think about the country opening up or the world opening back up, and we look at it from a perspective of we aren't returning to anything. We're moving into a new chapter, maybe even a new book. This might be volume 2. And when we can intentionally make those decisions, then we aren't just subject to other people's policies, rules, whatever. We start to play an active role in what our life looks like. And while there are a lot of things that we can't control, there are many things we can't control. I mean, if you believe in a God, we believe, you believe that God controls a lot of things. Or if we believe in the government controls a lot of things, or your boss controls a lot of things. There are a lot of things that we can't control, but what we can do is we can do the inner work and we can control our reactions to things. We can prepare ourselves mentally, emotionally, to have healthy reactions to the things that are going to be coming our way as everything opens. So spending this time to just reflect on this last month, to realize that there are some things that we can take away from this time, and then acknowledge what the future could look like and what we want it to look like. There's a lot of fear around dreaming big, but if you feel inspired by this time that you've been able to be at home, take that with you, man. There's nothing holding you back besides you of dreaming big. So I hope that you've enjoyed these last few weeks as much as I have. If anything, I really appreciate that once a week I brush my hair and put some makeup on. And I also wanted to share with you guys something that I've been working on Facebook I think last week, 2 weeks ago, I posted that I was considering making like a comprehensive self-care starter kit thing and was asking for some feedback. You guys delivered some and I took it into consideration, and I have created like a self-care boot camp for the month of May. You can get that if you go to selfcarereba.com. It's SELFCAREBA. So the RE in care is the RE in Reba. You can put your email in. I won't send you a bunch of spam, I promise. Plus, you know who I am, so if I do, you can yell at me, but don't yell at me. Put your email in, and then on May 1st, I'll send it to you. If you put your email in on May 6th, I'll still email it to you. So it's a comprehensive little boot camp for self-care. It doesn't take that much. It's like asking for 20, 30 minutes 3 times a week. And then I'm going to be doing it as well. I created it for me and I'm just sharing it with you guys. So, I would love for you to join me in that. I think it's going to be really, really, really great. I think it's great timing. Spring is here. Spring has sprung. we have a lot of, you know, blooming in our hearts right now as the whole society and world starts to kind of bloom into reopening. So this will be the last Tuesday guided journaling prompt for the month of May. There are journaling prompts once a week, and I haven't decided. Maybe we'll still connect on live if you would like to. It just depends on how many people are interested. So feel free to shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram if you have questions. Go to selfcarereba.com and put your email in for, it's like a PDF file of just the month of May, some prompts to do each week. And I've been working really hard on it because even if just one of you wants to do it with me, I think that it's worth it. So yeah, I hope you guys have a beautiful week, and thanks for hanging out for a little bit. I'll talk to you later.